Here's a tough question. I don't know the answer to this, and maybe you don't either, but do you feel there's any difference between prose poetry and flash fiction, especially poetic flash fiction?
I don't know the answer either, but I have my opinions, and one of them, of course, is that obviously there's an overlap. There can be very, very mysterious and magical fiction, which is definitely fiction. The the idea for me is that fiction has a story to it, which is why the last poem that I read, it kind of has a storyline to it. And the images in the end kind of made me feel that it reverted back into poetry, because there was like magical image of billowing shirt. But to me, in prose poetry, it will be more about a picture or an event or a concept, whereas flash fiction to me means more that there is a story in the making, in the piece of work. And again, to me, a similar idea of what I had said before. There is more mystery in prose poetry. I've just recently read a book of prose poetry that retold a lot of fables, makes it very, very mysterious. Whereas flash fiction would probably be more telling a story of somebody having whatever's going on in their lives, their heart broken or their heart mended, or
right.
So there is more. Once again, in my opinion, there's more mystery in prose poetry versus flash fiction. But they can both be very beautiful, and flash fiction can in fact be very, very poetic. In fact, right. because it is so short, people tend to be more careful with the words that they use, with the images that they use.
That's where they get very close to poetry, right? And it's like, because
right.
they're taking right. care of the words instead of just telling the story. There's a little, it seems to be a little bit more in the flash fiction, and they have to do that to keep their flash fiction short. And I just, before we end our time together, I wanted to ask you if you have any poems that you want to read. Doesn't necessarily have to be from your new book. And also, if you want to pitch some of the events that are coming up very soon that you're involved with.
There events. I have an upcoming reading in my hometown, or my current hometown, in Silver City, New Mexico, on next Saturday, 17th, at the Tranquil Bus Coffee House, which is a very poetry and music friendly coffee house in town. And one of the things that I would like to mention is that I run a blog called Writing in a Woman's Voice, and you can just Google that, verbatim, Writing in a Woman's Voice, and you'll get to it. And I almost daily post work by other women. And
that'd be great.
I think it's, for me, that's a very important project, because I think we have yet to develop our voices as distinct from either imitating men or trying to impress men. And so I wanted to have a place where women could just go for it. And they do, and it's a very and men incidentally are invited to submit also, so long as they are writing in a woman's voice, which every poet or novelist at some point in our lives, we switch genders and we try to do it correctly.